I managed to enter this real quick. I need to do something.
The phenomenon that you just saw is what I like to call the Drake effect. Everyone that knows anything about music knows about Drake. Your father, mother, and possibly your grandparents know about the man. Whether you like him or not, you can't escape from Drake's music. Not only his music, but the influence on the industry that he has around him. Welcome to Converse With Me, where I like to fuel conversation while hearing each side of what you think of an artist, of course with an open mind for discussion. To start off, I'm from Canada, more specifically the Greater Toronto area. Drake's influence has been in my life ever since I was 13, over a decade ago. Over, Thank Me Now, and Best I Ever Had embedded with LimeWire trackers were bumping all day in my awful earbuds. I can talk about each one of Drake's albums for hours, but we can save that for a different video. What I'm trying to prove here is his relevance once incubated at my local MTV station versus blowing up on a worldwide scale. The US had infamous hip-hop artists popping out since the 80s and 90s. Although Toronto had a few great names, few were really on the map. Few like Maestro Fresh Wes, the godfather of Canadian hip-hop. Whether what was coming out of here from Cardinal, Chaos, and many others, there seemed to be an issue. Canadian hip-hop musicians continued to face obstacles when attempting to break into the American and international markets. Something that was never new with Canadians until Rush, Neil Young, and others forced people to take the country more seriously. Essentially, there was no worldwide scale in hip-hop. There was no greater level of fame to be attained.
When I would go around playing shows in the US, like the past few years and whatever, they'd be like, where you from? I'd be like, Toronto. They'd be like, that's cool, that's cool. Now I'm like, Toronto. They're like, Drake.
All these people are just kind of being like, this kid's from Toronto, Toronto, this, Toronto, that. Wayne saying Toronto in song.
But with the help of Lil Wayne, Drake was able to blow up. Way past than anyone could have expected for a Canadian hip-hop artist. The apprentice soon came the mentor, and so the story goes. Fast forwarding to today, it's not that Drake makes artists, but rather brings them recognition that they both need and deserve. I mean, let's look at it factually. On October 23rd, Drake released a video of him dancing to Kodak Black's Skirt. A simple video to many, but this interaction gained the most attention that Kodak has ever had. A very simple and of course not the first example of the Drake effect. Drake has been crowned the cosigned god. The Weeknd found much greater audience after working with Drake on Crew Love, and co-writing a good chunk of Take Care. 21 Savage is another great example. He stated that Drake pulls up a new artist every single year. He did a lot of shit that he didn't have to do. He does a lot of shit for up and coming rappers, period. I don't think he gets the respect for that. Every fucking year, he pulls up a new artist. Ain't no other artist on his level do that shit. The same goes with the Migos and Versace, Party Next Door with Recognize, Blockboy JB, and countless amount of others. And while looking at all of this, I am once again not saying that he makes these artists, but rather wakes listeners up, bringing those who deserve it to state-of-the-art production and studios to prove the world what they're worth. Co-signing can be a huge opportunity, which is why many artists boast when they do not have a cosign come up.
I did it all without a Drake feature.
By Drake using his model to help others evolve, he essentially helps the growth of the industry, the name and greater outreach that hip-hop accumulates year by year. He has created an empire of artists over the years built on nothing but respect. And not to mention his internal empire of the OVO lineup, consisting of 40 Oliver, Nico, and Chubbs to name a few. Drake's influence is here to stay, whether you like it or not. But it goes further than being on every single radio station just because.
Toronto is the reason I do this. All I did was find a way to make people proud of our city. The artists from our city, their whole objective was to get out. So I just had to flip that way of thinking. All these guys, man, that are like, you gotta go to New York and make it happen. No, you don't, man. That's dead now. Do it the way the Weeknd did it. Do it the way Party Next Door did it. Do it the way I did it, you know? Do it from where you're at.
When hip-hop takes over something as simple as award shows or film soundtracks, these are all massive steps to the scene compared to a decade or two ago. The bigger the industry becomes comes with a platform for more artists, and artists being taken more seriously, which is seen especially with the recent brand deals with moguls like McDonald's, Nike, and Adidas. Drake finally gave the push of what Toronto needed, being taken seriously and having Toronto artists come up with a good chunk of radio play. I think we can all think to ourselves, how did he do this? Drake didn't run away. As mentioned before, artists migrated straight to where the money is, in the US, and dismembered from their roots. By never forgetting Toronto, he's built a hometown worth of superfans, selling out the OVO Fest and multiple tour dates yearly. Drake invested in Toronto. He gave it a chance when others did not. From the views from the 6 cover to pop-up shows around the city, Drake has given Torontonians a reason to be proud of their city. Staying true to your core pays off, and Drake is one of the few people that has executed this method perfectly. Drake built this effect by building on his city, cosign artist, and his own mob tie like roster. Now I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of Drake's influence? Also, do you think cosigning is a gift or a curse for an artist? Let me know down below, and until next time guys.